And for this episode of Who Got EGOT, I took a first look at the recently announced Tony nominations to see who could be getting closer to reaching EGOT, the grand slam of American showbiz and beyond. But first, hi, I'm Freddie Menzi, a historian of showbiz and politics and the EGOT expert. And looking at all the nominees, I spotted about 15 people hoping to join the Half EGOT Club should they win their first Tony Award in June. Looking first at those with solo nominations in the craft categories, we have Grammy winners Shoshana Bean and Caroline Shaw, and Emmy winners Richard Thomas, Anna Gasteyer, Cinco Paul, and set designer David Corins, hoping to be bumped up into the Half EGOT Club. But of course, with the Tonys, the best production categories are where we have the potential for the biggest EGOT news, depending on which shows and Tony-nominated producing team end up winning in those categories, with many notable names hiding as Tony-nominated producers. Like, if Giant wins in the Best Play category, that would bump up Emmy winner Tim Headington to Half EGOT. But if Liberation wins Best Play, that would bump up Grammy winner Stark Sands to Half EGOT. And if Titanic wins Best Musical, that would bump up Emmy winner Griffin Schultz into Half EGOT. But if Schmigadoon wins, that'll bump up Emmy winner Cinco Paul to Half EGOT. But if the Lost Boys win, that'll bump up Emmy winners Kiefer Sutherland and David Zuckerman to Half EGOT, along with Grammy honoree Avery Lippman and Grammy winner and Guns N' Roses lead guitarist Slash. And the previously mentioned Stark Sands also has a second producing nomination as part of the Lost Boys team. David Zuckerman also has a second producing nomination as part of the nominated team for Cats the Jellicle Ball in the Best Revival of a Musical category. So if Cats wins in that category, Zuckerman would bump up to Half EGOT, along with Emmy winners Lena Waithe and Ty Stiglorius. A win for Cats as Best Revival of a Musical would also bump up Emmy and Grammy winners Adam Cantor and David Lai to Triple Crown status. Cantor has a Daytime Emmy and Grammy, both for his work in the musical The Band's Visit, and Lai is nominated as part of his production company, Lucky T Productions. In his prolific Broadway career, Lai has won multiple Grammy Awards and a regional Emmy for local programming in what used to be known as the Lower Great Lakes Regional Chapter of the National Academy of TV Arts and Sciences. And yes, I do count local Emmys towards EGOT, because why not? And if Schmigadoon wins any one of its 12 nominations, that would make Apple the latest studio EGOT, a term I use to describe a studio that has produced work that has won all 4 of the EGOT awards. They wouldn't be the first studio EGOT, as fellow 2026 Tony nominees Warner Brothers and I think maybe even Universal have produced work honored by all 4 of the EGOT awards. Disney has actually achieved studio EGOT status with The Lion King alone, which itself would qualify for what is unofficially known as a franchise EGOT. But looking back at the EGOT history of Apple, we find that multiple Apple-produced TV shows have won Emmy Awards, including The Studio, which won a record 13 Emmys at these latest Primetime Emmys, including as Outstanding Comedy Series. Apple also produced the Best Picture Oscar winner Coda and the latest winner of Best Sound, F1 the Movie. I mentioned F1 the Movie because the soundtrack for the movie was nominated for 3 Grammy Awards at the latest Grammy ceremony, winning a Grammy in the Best Country Solo Performance category for Chris Stapleton and his track Bad As I Used to Be from F1 the Movie. But we'll see who gets closer to reaching EGOT when these latest Tony Awards are handed out in June. And if you want to find out some more Tony facts, like who is the most nominated person at this year's Tony Awards, make sure you come back and catch part 2 of my Tony nominations coverage. Thanks for watching, and make sure you like, share, and follow so that I can keep making videos like this. And for part 2 of my Tony Noms coverage, let's take a look at who's hiding as a Tony-nominated producer in the Best Production categories. But first, some stats. This year, the person with the most nominations is producer Willette Klossner, with 9 nominations, including at least 1 nomination in every Best Production category. Following her are John Gore and James Niederlander, with 7 nominations each, and producer Tom D'Angora rounds out the list with 6 nominations. They all join Klossner and these other producers with the distinction of having at least 1 nomination in all 4 Best Production categories, with Klossner and Niederlander achieving the added distinction of being part of all 4 of the Best Musical nominated producing teams. This year, we also have 4 multi-hyphenates with the most nominations for a single show, with 3 nominations each. They are Michael Arden and Gabriel Mann for The Lost Boys, Marla Mindell for Titanic, and Cinco Paul for Schmigadoon. And of course, it's the Tonys, so we do have many notable names hiding out in the Best Production categories, such as in the Best Play category, where Tony winning director Michael Mayer and Tony nominated actor Stark Sands make a part of the Tony nominated team for Liberation. Sands is also part of the producing team for Best Musical nominee The Lost Boys, where he is joined by fellow actors Neil Patrick Harris, Orfeh, Douglas Sills, Kiefer Sutherland, and Patrick Wilson. They are joined by Guns N' Roses lead guitarist Slash and pro athletes Carrie and Joe Staley, along with Pro Football Hall of Famer Steve Young and Steph Curry, who is producing as part of a producing team with his fellow nominee and wife, Aisha Curry. And rounding out the list of notable names I spotted as part of the Lost Boys team are Tony winners Dane Laffrey and Michael Arden, and TV writer-producer David Zuckerman. Zuckerman is also part of the Tony-nominated team for Cats, the Jellicle Ball in the Best Revival of a Musical category, where he is joined by A-list stylist Law Roach, podcast host and tech executive Randy Zuckerberg, TV and film multi-hyphenate Lena Waithe, and EGOT himself, John Legend, who is producing as part of his production company Get Lifted. They are all joined by actors Kevin Cahoon, Cynthia Erivo, Jeremy Pope, and LaShans. And if we go back to the Best Musical category, we have iconic SNL showrunner Lorne Michaels hoping to win his second Tony Award as part of the team behind Schmigadoon. In the Best Musical category, Michaels is actually competing against SNL alum Bowen Yang, who is part of the producing team for Titanic. Yang is joined on the producing team by his frequent collaborator Matt Rogers and Titanic cast member Frankie Grande, who is producing with his mom, Joan Grande, with their production company Diamond Dog Entertainment. They are also joined by Grammy nominees Deborah Cox, J.C. Chazé, and Joey Fatone. Those are the notable names I found, but did I miss anyone? Let me know in the comments below. And make sure you like, share, and follow so that I can keep on making videos like this, and so that I can keep on keeping track of who's getting one step closer to reaching EGOT, the grand slam of American showbiz and beyond. I'm Freddie Mancia, historian of showbiz and politics, and the EGOT expert. Thanks for watching.